So, with Nick Robertson's arbitration date set for Sunday, August 3rd, the Leafs and Nick Robertson decided to get a little piece of business done a day in advance, and they settle without the need for arbitration. Robertson getting a one-year deal at $1.825 million for this season. Nick Robertson, of course, being the final arbitration case that remained unsolved, and it did seem like we were getting to the point where we might actually be going to an arbitrator. The team had submitted their number, Robertson had submitted his number, and again, it was a day away, but alas, we are going to get no actual arbitration cases. Every team and players ends up settling, and this actually is quite an interesting deal. And the reason that's interesting boils down to a few reasons. One is Robertson's fit with the team and his role and what that's going to look like. And another is actually just Robertson as a player, as a young player that continues to develop. So starting first with the Leafs and the roster construction side of it, the Leafs still have $1.9 million in cap space at this point in time, according to Puckpedia, and that is with 14 forwards and 7 defensemen on the roster. They have an entire NHL roster under the cap by 1.9 million, which is not normal for the Leafs. That still leaves them some wiggle room to make trades in season. And also, we still don't really know what is going on with David Kampf, as we expect him to be traded before the season starts. And that would also free up an additional 2.5 million. But that situation's a little in flux at this point in time. Now, with Robertson getting another one-year deal, he will be an RFA again next year with arbitration rights again. So it seems like we kind of just kicked the can down the road to do this all again next year. But for Robertson, it makes a ton of sense as he's betting on himself, betting that he can put up a decent amount of goals. And then next year, he can go to arbitration as the cap continues to rise, and he'll continue to get bigger and bigger numbers. But again, starting with the Leafs side of things, this is where things get a little interesting, because when we're trying to examine where Robertson fits in the lineup, the answer isn't very clear. Between Max Domi, Matias Maccelli, Calle Jarnkrok, and Nick Robertson himself, the Leafs have a lot of smaller forwards, and fitting all these guys in the lineup isn't exactly the easiest thing to do. We know that Robertson will probably compete for a third-line role, as he has in the past, but he has not been an everyday player. But at the same time, he's not exactly a fourth-liner, so it's a little difficult to see what exactly the plan is. Because obviously, from the team perspective, you want to maximize every asset. We know that Nick Robertson can score 20 goals at the NHL level. So how do you unlock that while also making sure that these other undersized forwards are utilized correctly and other guys in the bottom 6 are utilized to the best of their abilities? Because the Leafs have a lot of pieces that can move around in the bottom 6. So it's just, I've got a few questions. Is it possible Robertson plays on a line with a guy like Nick Waugh and Matias Maccelli, so that you get a playmaker, you get a defensive-minded player as well to kind of shelter Robertson so that he can just focus on scoring? Do you play him on kind of a makeshift fourth line with Steven Lorentz and Scott Lawton and just see if having two guys that play more north-south hockey will help him get into better shooting positions? Or do you give him a shot in the top 6 despite his deficiencies? These are all questions that will be answered in time, and also all are different situations that should be experimented with. That kind of is the theme of this year that we will talk about as the season approaches, but I really want the Leafs to experiment more with their lineup, because they have so many guys that can play up and down the lineup that it would be a disservice not to just have 10, 12, 15 combinations that you can roll out at any point in time. As for Robertson specifically, we are getting a pretty good idea of what he is at this point in his career. He's a scorer. He does one thing. He can shoot the puck really well. He puts the puck in the net. The last 2 seasons, he has scored at a 20 and 18 goal pace respectively. In the 23-24 season, he had 14 goals, 13 assists, 27 points in 56 games. And last season, he had 15 goals in 69 games. Nice. And 22 points, which was a bit lower of a point total. And he did have some slumps throughout the season, but he still proved that he could put the puck in the net. Robertson is currently 23 years old. He turns 24 in September, so he'll be 24 for this upcoming season. And it's getting to the point with Robertson where he needs to take the next step, or it's just not coming. We know that he's a really good scorer. He's got the one thing. He's got the shot. He's a wicked shooter. That's great. He needs to develop a second thing. There are two brands of depth players in the NHL. There are those who are pretty good at a couple of things, and that kind of makes them a guy like Dakota Joshua, right? He's a pretty good scorer. He's a pretty good penalty killer defensive player. He's very physical. He could check multiple boxes. Or Scott Laughton, like same kind of idea. Calle Jarnkrok, same kind of idea. And then the other brand of depth player is someone who just does one thing really well, and that's Robertson. He's really good at shooting the puck. We haven't seen a whole lot of depth to his game aside from that. Now, granted, just being a really good shooter and being someone who constantly is giving probably more effort than everyone else on the team, those are things that you can work with, and that's why the Leafs have continued to re-sign Robertson year over year. That's why they did not give in to his trade request. That's why they kept him around, is because he is a useful player, but in terms of becoming an everyday player or becoming that 20-goal guy that is a consistent third liner, especially in the playoffs, that's what we're looking for with the next step of his development. Again, does it come down to just playing with the right line mates? Will a guy like Matias Maccelli or Nick Waugh or Scott Laughton, like, is there a combination of guys that will unlock Robertson's full potential? Is it just something that he has to do, that he has to develop? I'm not sure, but there are tools there. It's just it hasn't clicked, and that's the reason he's getting under $2 million again. So curious to see what happens with Robertson and how this season goes for him. Curious to see how he fits into the Leafs' plans for the upcoming season. He's gonna probably play because, again, you need guys that can score, and he does that very well. There's just a lot of questions surrounding what his fit is here. But that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, and if you love to hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell so you don't miss any content from the Game Over Toronto channel. Again, during the regular season, we stream after every single Toronto Maple Leafs game, so we will be a lot more active during the season. I know that we've just been waiting for news and kind of reacting as things happen, but the season is, a few months away, so we're going to kind of die down for a little bit in August and early September, and then we'll come back when training camp comes back for a season preview, things of that nature, and as news happens, we will be ready with that as well. So that's going to be it for today. I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.